All right, dog lovers, get ready because today we are going deep into play-based training with the amazing Lorrie J. Harris, founder of Coaching Canine Companions. We're taking a close look at 3 sources from her interactive online course, and let me tell you, it's going to be an awesome deep dive.
Totally. We're diving into gamify your dog training, the flight factor, and the paradox of play. So get ready to say goodbye to boring old obedience drills and hello to turning everyday moments into super fun, bond-boosting games with your dog.
Sounds amazing. I'm already excited. Let's start with Gamify Your Dog Training. Tune in through play. This source really got me thinking about why dogs sometimes seem to totally ignore us. And it's not always them being stubborn, is it?
Exactly. It's like you said, sometimes they aren't being disobedient. It's more about how they are feeling in that moment. One thing that really stood out to me was the idea that we can actually overwhelm our dogs with too many rewards, like too many treats. You'd think more treats would mean more focus, but the source explains that can actually make them shut down.
That's so interesting. I've definitely been guilty of going overboard with treats. So, how do we get that balance right and keep our dogs in that sweet spot where they're ready to learn?
Well, the source talks about these 3 focus states dogs have. They can be underengaged, in optimal focus, or overengaged. That optimal focus is where we want them, but we need to be able to recognize the signs when they are not in that zone. And that's where clear cues and gamification become really important.
Okay, gamification, that sounds like fun, but I'm curious, how does that actually work when we are training our dogs?
So think about it this way. Dogs are naturally wired for certain behaviors, like chasing, hunting, and solving problems. We can use those instincts by using gamification to make training more engaging. The source talks about bringing in the predator sequence into games.
Predator seeking, that sounds turning our dogs into like wolves or something?
No, no, not at all. It's about understanding the 5 stages of a dog's natural hunting instincts. Like when they orient, stalk, chase, grab, bite, and dissect, consume, we can create games based on those instincts. Instead of just throwing a ball for fetch, you could try hiding it under a blanket and letting your dog hunt for it. You're getting their senses involved and tapping into those natural instincts.
It's like turning their whole world into a puzzle for them to figure out. That makes so much more sense than just repeating commands over and over.
Absolutely. It's more fun for them and it's way more effective too.
Okay, talking about making training fun, our next source is the flirt pole, transforming obedience through play. This one sounds right up my alley. I love the idea of turning obedience into a game.
Me too. It's such a cool idea. The flirt pole is basically this long, flexible pole with a lure on the end. You can use it to really trigger your dog's chase instinct. And then you can weave in all those obedience commands like sit, stay, and come while they're playing.
So it's kind of like a supercharged game of fetch, but with an extra focus on control and making sure our dog is listening. But I have a question. Is the flirt pole just for dogs that have tons of energy? My dog is more of a professional cuddler.
That's a great question, and Lori actually addresses that. These sources make it clear that every dog has a unique play personality. Some dogs go crazy for the chase, while others might prefer something a little slower, or even a good brain teaser. The key is figuring out what gets your dog going, and then customizing the games to fit them.
That makes a lot of sense. Even if my dog isn't a crazy chaser, I can still use play to train them in a way they enjoy. But where do I even start with all of this?
One of the best things about these sources is they give you a bunch of specific examples and tips. I found this concept of a reward menu super helpful.
A reward menu. Okay, now I am really intrigued. Tell me more.
So it's all about going beyond just using treats as rewards. You think about all the things your dog loves, praise, toys, petting, or even just getting to go to their favorite spot. And then you create a menu of all these things and you can match the value of the reward to how hard the training task is.
Oh, wow, that's so smart. We are tailoring their motivation to their own personality. No more one-size-fits-all training. This is so cool.
I know, right? I know, right? It's like we're learning their language.
Okay, I'm loving all this advice. But what about those times when training is, not going so well? When our dog just forgets everything or something is distracting them or maybe they're just not into it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think we've all been there. The source actually has this really helpful section called the mini troubleshooting toolkit for exactly those situations.
Ooh, a troubleshooting toolkit. That sounds like something I definitely need. What is in this toolkit?
Well, it starts by reminding us that it's totally normal to have setbacks. Like even dog trainers who have been doing this forever run into these problems sometimes. The most important thing is to figure out what the problem is and then change how we're training based on that.
So instead of getting frustrated, we need to play detective.
Mm.
and try to understand what is going on with our dog.
Yeah, exactly. We need to figure out what is going on in their heads. Like, are they overstimulated, understimulated? Maybe there are too many distractions. Once we know what the problem is, then we can actually start fixing it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like if your dog suddenly ignores the come command, maybe they're not being stubborn, maybe they just saw a really interesting squirrel or something.
Exactly. The toolkit actually gives us some strategies to deal with these common training challenges. Like, if your dog gets distracted really easily, you can start practicing in a place where there aren't a lot of distractions. Then, as they get better at focusing, you can slowly start adding more distractions.
I love this approach because it feels like we are working together with our dog to figure things out. It feels so much better than just thinking they're being bad.
Yeah, totally. It's all about shifting away from that mindset of always being in control and instead thinking of it as a partnership where we're both working together.
You mentioned something earlier about different play personalities in dogs. I wanted to hear a little more about that.
Of course. The paradox of play actually goes into a lot of detail about this. It explains that, just like people, dogs have their own unique play styles. Some dogs have a ton of energy and love to chase, while other dogs are more relaxed and might prefer playing with a puzzle toy.
So how do we figure out what our dog's play personality is? Are there any clues we can look for?
There are, yeah. The source has a lot of great tips on how to understand your dog's body language
Hmm.
and how they react during play. Like if your dog gets too excited or frustrated really quickly, then they might need a calmer play style.
Wow, that's so cool. It's like we're learning how to read their secret play language. What about us? Do we have our own play personalities?
Oh, absolutely. And it can be just as important to think about our own play style. Think about yourself. Do you love running around and being goofy with your dog? Or do you prefer chilling on the couch with them?
I think I'm kind of in the middle. I love a good game of fetch, but I also really enjoy just relaxing with my dog.
Exactly, and that's totally fine. The important thing is to find activities that you and your dog both enjoy. That's how you really connect.
This whole idea of play personalities is making me think about play in a whole new way. It's not just about having fun. It's about really understanding our dogs and what they need. It's about building a stronger relationship with them.
You got it. And speaking of building relationships, one of the things that really jumped out at me was the idea that play can actually completely transform our relationship with our dogs.
Okay, that's interesting. I want to hear more.
So, one of the sources talks about how play creates this amazing feedback loop of good feelings. When we play with our dogs, both of us get a rush of these feel-good chemicals called endorphins. That makes us feel closer and happier together.
So it's like a double dose of happiness.
Yeah.
We make our dog happy, and it makes us happy too.
Exactly. And it goes way beyond just feeling good. Playing with our dogs helps us build trust and makes them feel more confident. It even helps us both be more resilient.
Now I'm really starting to see how play is so much more than just a fun thing to do. It really can change our relationship with our dog.
For sure. And one of the coolest things about play is that it can help dogs who are afraid of things or get anxious.
Yeah, that's a big one. I know a lot of dogs that are scared of things.
Right. And the sources actually give us some really great ideas for using play to help dogs face their fears.
Oh, like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so there's this technique called bravery bingo.
Bravery bingo. Okay, that sounds fun. Tell me more. What is that?
Imagine a bingo card, but instead of numbers, it's filled with baby steps towards facing a fear. So, let's say your dog is terrified of loud noises. One square might be, stays calm when the car door slams shut. Another one could be, doesn't even flinch when the doorbell rings. And each time your dog does one of these things without getting scared, you mark it off on the card.
So we're basically turning getting over their fears into a game.
Exactly. And the source really emphasizes making it super fun and rewarding for them. You can use treats or praise or even a quick game of tug as a reward.
I love that. It's such a positive way to help them. We're not forcing them to face their fears. We're helping them feel brave one step at a time.
Yep. And another really cool technique is called treat and retreat.
Treat and retreat. That's an interesting name. How does that work?
So it's all about teaching the dog that it's totally okay for them to walk away from something scary like they have control. Let's say your dog is really nervous around other dogs.
Oh, yeah. My dog used to be like that. New dogs would freak him out.
Okay, so with treat and retreat, you'd start by having your dog look at another dog from far away, like a distance where they still feel comfortable. And if they stay calm, you toss a treat behind them, encouraging them to move away from the other dog.
So we're rewarding them for walking away from the thing that makes them nervous.
Exactly. We're showing them that it's good to move away when they feel scared. And over time, this can really help them build their confidence because they learn they don't have to force themselves to interact if they're not feeling it.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't wait to try these techniques with my dog. It's amazing how powerful play can be for building their confidence.
It really is. And remember, the most important thing is to be patient and consistent. And, most of all, have fun. You want your dog to love facing their fears because it means fun things are going to happen.
This whole deep dive has been so eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of the power of play. And it's not just for training, it's for building a truly strong bond with our dog.
Absolutely. And speaking of adventures, one of the sources actually encourages us to, like, think outside the box when it comes to play, to get creative with the games we come up with.
Okay, I love getting creative. What kind of ideas do they have?
Well, there's this whole section called Thinking Beyond Fetch and Tug. It talks about coming up with games that really tap into your dog's breed and their interests.
So like if you have a herding dog, you could set up like a mini agility course or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you have a retriever, you could hide toys all over the house and they have to go on a treasure hunt to find them.
I love that. It's like we're just discovering a whole new world of play and how we can connect with our dogs.
For sure, and remember, it doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the simplest games are the most fun. The important thing is to find things you both enjoy and to have fun together.
This whole deep dive has been so amazing. I feel like I've learned so much about how powerful play can be. It's not just for training, it's for building a truly amazing relationship with our dog.
Yeah, I feel like we have been given all these tools to build such a strong and happy relationship with our dogs. It's incredible.
Totally. And one of the things that I was thinking about is that play isn't just about like having a good time. It's actually super important for their well-being.
Oh, for sure. It's like their way of taking care of themselves, isn't it?
Right. But how does that actually, like, how does that work?
Yeah, what's going on there?
Well, one of the sources talks about how playing helps dogs learn all these important social skills, like how to interact with others. They learn
Yeah.
about boundaries and how to solve problems. It's like they're in training for life.
It makes sense, yeah. It's not just physical exercise, it's like a workout for their brain and their emotions too. Exactly. And it's also such a good way for them to build confidence and, become more resilient. When dogs play, they're learning how to deal with challenges, like how to overcome things and how to bounce back when things don't go their way.
So it's like play is helping them build their inner strength so they can face the world with more confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And there's another thing that's so interesting. The sources talk about how play can actually help dogs who have had really tough experiences.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's not just about having fun, it's about helping them feel good emotionally.
I'm so inspired by all of this. It's like we've been given a whole new way to look at our relationship with our dogs.
I totally agree. And one of the best things about play is that it helps both of us. It's not just good for our dogs, it's good for us too.
Oh, yeah. I always feel so much better, like happier and more relaxed after playing with my dog.
Same here. One of the sources actually talks about how play can make us more mindful, more present and connected in our daily lives.
That's so true. When I'm playing with my dog, I'm totally focused on what's happening right then and there. All my worries just kind of disappear.
I know, right? It's like they have this amazing ability to bring us back to the present moment and help us remember what's really important.
Yeah, they're like our own personal mindfulness gurus.
Totally. And the benefits go even further. The sources mention how play can help us become more creative, better at solving problems, and even more resilient.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. It's like play is this secret ingredient to becoming a better person.
Absolutely. It's all about having a playful attitude and finding those little moments of joy in everyday life.
This deep dive has been incredible. I've learned so much about how important play is, not only for training our dogs, but for creating a truly amazing relationship with them.
Me too. And I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to bring more play into their lives, both with their dogs and in general.
For sure. What if, instead of thinking of play as, something extra or something we do when we have time, we started seeing it as something we need to be happy?
I love that. Remember, play is a gift, and it's a gift that keeps on giving. So go out there, have fun, and enjoy that amazing bond you have with your furry friend.